Amber, Amber wants to know, how do we discuss this with uh, our kids? And I'm gonna do a bit of a hybrid question here. How do we discuss this with younger kids, teenagers and whatnot, but also with teenagers? Picture at the dinner table of a friend or a relative, and that teen's parents aren't Christians, and so they're, you can imagine the war zone there that they're involved with or going through. So just young people in general, how do you talk to them? What age is appropriate to begin these conversations? And what are the key things they...
Gavin, I think we might have had a snafu here. Do you want to, we talk about this some in the FAQs at the end of the book. Do you want to, Costi, if you were asking a question, you dropped out a little bit. Gavin can handle some how you handle with young kids.
Young kids. Well, to answer what I heard of your question there, Costi, is that kids are never too young to start teaching the Bible to them, teaching them about who God is, who we are as created by Him. And kids can get big truths. They can amazingly get big truths, and they can stump you with big theological questions as well. That's what I think what they potentially are designed for, is to confuse their parents. But anyway, all that to say is, I think this is a great opportunity to come back to basics and start teaching your children biblical worldview from a young age. Biblical worldview is key, and age appropriately, obviously, on the issues of sex and sexuality, so that your children, when they get to the age where the other children may be invited around, are actually comfortable of talking about these things naturally, organically. And yeah, I mean, talk to them. It's a great evangelistic opportunity, because you're bringing other kids then into your home to hear you easily, naturally talk about this God who is God of all of life, and our sexuality, and who we are, and our identity, and how we're to therefore behave in obedience to Him through Christ. And it becomes an evangelistic opportunity. So I think I'll finish with this. Some people say, well, what about my kids at school? How do they interact when they go into public school and they come home and say, my friend Johnny has two mummies, for instance. How do we talk to them? And of course, you talk to them and you say, well, Johnny and his two mummies are all created by God in the image of God. And so they have value and dignity, and there's a respect that we show them. At the same time, we all fell because of sin, and because of sin, people's desires have been fractured and oriented in a wrong way, and don't obey God's pattern for marriage. And that's why Johnny has two mummies and not a mummy and a daddy. And yet we still love your friend Johnny and the two mummies by treating them as human beings created in the image of God, but offering appropriately so what the Bible teaches, which is the good and right and true way for their salvation and their good on this earth. And I think those are just good ways, and parents will do it differently and be able to kind of connect with their kids differently. But that's the way to kind of teach your kids and help them to engage in the different areas they are with other kids.